to my Purposeful Play project. So, what did I do for my project? The reason you have cheesecake in front of you here today is because I painted 4 different cheesecake recipe ingredients along with the slice of cheesecake to represent one big cheesecake recipe. I had 3 purposes for doing so, and as I proceed through this presentation, I will assess all 3 purposes. So my first purpose for the project was that I wanted to take part in the Relay for Life art auction that happens in my high school. This is because I have a personal story. My grandmother had breast cancer and she had to have a mastectomy to survive breast cancer. She's okay now. However, seeing her fight through this disease encouraged me to want to help others who were ailing from cancers and different types of degenerative diseases. So that's one part. Another part is I wanted to volunteer and stay connected to the Gwinnett community because being part of Georgia Tech now, I don't get to see that community as much, and I still wanted to be a part of it. And so the way the auction works is you create an art piece. All the students in the high school, even students from outside, can create an art piece. And then February 11th or 12th, they will set them all up in the commons of the high school at North Gwinnett High School. And viewers will walk around, they'll bid on it, so that it's a full-blown auction. Usually the start of the prices for art pieces is $20, and sometimes it can go up to like $500, $600 depending on the piece. Sometimes each student has a client that they create a piece for, but sometimes that client isn't necessarily the one that gets the piece. If somebody else bids on the piece because they like it that much and they outbid them, then it's a loss for the client. However, that allows Relay for Life to make more money because the bidding of different prices increases the price of the painting or whatever art piece you've made, and that results in Relay for Life getting more money made for their club. My second purpose for this project was, of course, the play part. Art is play. Each artist does their things a little differently. They take the liberties of their art in their own way. So, for an example, as an artist myself, I like more smoother looks. Texturizing my paintings isn't the way I like to go usually. However, in my pieces right now, you can see that the cherries have lots of different shades of red. That signifies depth, and that shows a 3D effect. And the eggs are a little bit more smoothed out to give you a glossy finish for that. The butter, you can see strokes of highlight to show that it's 3D and it's more like butter. The cheesecake, you can see highlights on the cherries to show that that's 3D and it's dripping down the cheesecake. So through this project, I learned to play with the different brush strokes and using shadows and highlights, which is a little bit different than usual. Usually I will not do that many different types of brush stroke variations, but I will keep it smoother. So that's a way that I play with my art for this project. But to keep in mind that art is beauty because each artist takes their things differently. So if somebody were to create this exact piece exactly like mine, it would still look different because they would play with it in a different way, and that's the beauty of art. My third purpose was the idea of embodying how an ingredient in itself in a recipe is its own thing, but when you combine it, the end result also has its own identity. So, for example, a cherry is unique on its own because it can be used for a couple of things. But when you add it in the big recipe of a cheesecake with cherry filling or cherry filling on top, it becomes a bigger thing in itself. However, you don't lose the identity of the individual pieces that were put into the recipe. This is shown on the canvases that every ingredient has its own identity because of the black surrounding each ingredient. It singles it out. It puts the emphasis on each ingredient by itself, and that creates a standard across all of the pieces. So this shows you that food can be played with too, just as art. Food is art, and another way of showing you can manipulate it whatever you want, and you can still not lose the identity of the ingredients you used to make the final product. So a few challenges and accomplishments that occurred during my presentation. The challenges were finishing the paintings in a timely manner, of course. I started a little bit later than I should have, but we got it all done, so it's okay. Creating something of enough quality that someone will buy. My client is my mom's best friend from mosque, so I don't think she would not buy my piece regardless of how it looks, but it's better to create a piece that somebody likes instead of forcing them to buy it just because they know you or because they're your family member. Another challenge I faced was I ran out of some paint colors, but we had to hell of an engineer that and improvise a little bit. Accomplishments, I had positive stress when completing this project, unlike some other projects that we've been given from other subjects and things like that. Painting is a relief, so it allows me to calm down. And I learned a few new painting techniques. As I was talking about earlier, the brush strokes, that's different for me, so playing around with that and learning was very helpful, and it helped me add a skill to my repertoire of art. And then finally raising money for Relay for Life, because that was one of the ultimate goals.